African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze. Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Simon Javan Okelo. I am excited to be here with you today. I am having a conversation with Papa Bingi. In 1980, two Rasta brothers by the names of Eugine, Ruhamia, and Alonzo Karahamuheto, aka Bongoman, came to Nairobi from Rwanda on their way to Ethiopia. They met another Rasta brother called Calveti Nyabingi, better known as Papa Bingi. Since the 1980s to date, Papa Bingi has been a leading figure in reggae music from Africa to New York, where he opened a store on 125th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue. By 1993, he had saved enough money and bought 2 big sound systems and shipped one to Kenya. Our conversation will cover Papa Bingi's rich history and massive contribution to the growth of reggae music worldwide and in Africa specifically. You know, I grew up in Manyata, in Kisumu, Kenya, and reggae music was the music of the ghetto. Reggae music is, until today, the music of liberation. And Papa Bingi was really like a hero, you know. He was somebody that, his names were on walls in the ghetto where we grew up. And when Bob Marley's music was played in the dance hall in Kenya, the name of Papa Bingi was amongst some of the first names you'd hear when you heard any reggae music. So for me, today is really, it's a privilege to be here with you, my brother Papa Bingi. And, I want you to know that you're highly respected. And today I would love for you to share with us, your story. Maybe just think about a moment when you are about 8 to 12 years old, when this vision of being a global powerhouse in reggae music came to you. I like to take my guests to their upbringing around when they were 8 to 12 years old, because that was also a time that was really impactful to me. I was distributing milk and bread in Manyata for my mother around that age. And it's the age when I knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I was going to be somebody important in the community. So my brother, please feel free to share with us your story in a moment. But for those who are joining us on YouTube, and for those who are going to listen to today's African Father in America episode on iTunes, I want you to know that we are going to share, the story of Papa Bingi, why Papa Bingi has committed his life to reggae music, how reggae music came to Africa, Kenya, and how Papa Bingi developed Shashamane and Dread Brothers promotion. Then we are going to talk about, what a father figure means to Papa Bingi. And then finally, you will learn how you can stay connected with Papa Bingi. And lastly, Papa Bingi will ask me a question. So with that, my brother, share with us your story and we will continue building on today's conversation that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Simon, for having me.
Yeah,
As you
man.
said, 8 years old. I'm somebody. I was born in Mombasa and grew up in Nairobi. And then my parents moved to Uganda, so I grew up in Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kampala. So when I was 8 years old, well, I was a baby. I was like young in Uganda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we came back to Kenya, and you know, I started really the way how I started getting into reggae music was through one of my brother who was a soldier, you know. And every time he come home, he would come with some cassettes, Bob Marley, Bunny Wailer, Burning Spear, you know, and I listen to the music, and I kind of like it. My brother, even though he was in the army, he was a Rastaman in the army, you know. So started listening to reggae music, and I kind of was like, what is, when I heard first time when I heard Bob Marley, I was like, wow, this I like what he's, what he's talking about, because the music was all about the real life thing, that what is happening.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know,
Right.
like the struggle in the ghetto, and somebody like me who grew up in the ghetto. So I knew that that was, something that I would like to be part of, you know.
Right. Right.
And then really in I think it was 1978, I took one of my father's transistor radio, and I was just browsing through. Then I came across Capital Radio in the UK with Mr. David Rodigan, you know. Like, wow, this is good, you know. So I think it was on a Saturday, yes. So one time when I found the station, I listened to the music, and then I said, okay, let me see, maybe next time, next Saturday again, I took my, I kind of stole my father's transistor radio, you know what I mean, and then tune in again, and listen to Rodigan. What he was playing was reggae music, you know. So kind of like I like the music because already my brother has introduced me to it, and then listening to it on the radio was even more joyful, you know. So after high school, I went. I went back to Nairobi anyway, and then after high school, it started. As you said, started in the beginning. I was just. I hope you know Stanley, New Stanley Hotel, right?
Right.
Yeah, New Stanley Hotel. Yes, I was just there, with my friends. We were just chilling, and. Then all of a sudden, I saw two Rasta man. I'm like, I hear him. We started talking, and that was Russ Eugene and Bongoman. You know, may they rest in peace. They're not with us right now. So I hear them, and we started talking, and they told me like they came from Rwanda, and they were on their way to Uganda. I mean to
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. Ethiopia. You know. So I'm like, man, Ethiopia right now, there's war in Ethiopia, so I don't know how you're gonna get there, you know. So I kind of convinced them to stay in Kenya, and they agree, you know. At the same time, where the same New Stanley, that was in 1980, and Bob Marley was on his way to Zimbabwe with this band, to perform during the Zimbabwean independence, you know. So I made Bob Marley was the band, Rita and everybody. The band was staying at New Stanley, and then Bob was staying at Hilton Hotel.
In Nairobi.
Yeah, so
Wow.
in fact, Neville Garrick, who was a music director, art and music director for Bob Marley, came and sat with us. We started talking. All of us were talking. Me, Bongo, and Eugene, and then we told him that we want to start like a sound system, because Bob Marley and we like the music and everything, you know. So we told him that we wanted to start a sound system, and how would you help us, And he took my information and I gave him my information too. He gave me his information, I took his information. So after the show, in Zimbabwe, we went back to Jamaica, and then I sent him a telegram. Back then it was, there was no telephone. So, there was phone really, but, I didn't have the number.
Right.
So I sent him a telegram, and I told him that we wanted some music,
Right.
to play. And so I don't know if you want me to
Keep
give you the
going.
story, or
Yeah.
we talk about the reggae music or first before I go into the Kenyan reggae scene.
Well, you've touched on Zimbabwe right now, and how you are able to meet Bob Marley and his band in Nairobi when they were on their way to Zimbabwe. Which
Yes.
is very significant because Bob Marley's song "Africa Liberate Zimbabwe." Zimbabwe is the name of the song.
Yes. Yeah,
Zimbabwe
that
is
was the
the name
song
of
for
the
the
song.
independence. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the name of the song for Zimbabwean independence.
Yeah, so I feel that, with that, you can just share with us a little story about reggae, from your perspective. How did reggae become what it is now, and how did it get to Africa?
Reggae, really, before reggae music, there was what is called ska, and ska was like in the 50s, you know, and everything reggae music. I mean, they all have African drum beat and percussion and everything.
Right.
So ska were like in the 50s, with artists like Desmond Decker, you know, uh, um, Decker, the techniques and everything, and then ska was there from 50 maybe until early 60. Then after 60, then there was rock steady because ska was a little bit faster, you know. Then after ska, then rock steady came on, with artists like Alton Ellis, you know, um, um, Alton Ellis, Hopton Lewis, and Morgan, Derek Morgan, and so forth. That was like in the early 60 until maybe 68. Ska really never, Rocksteady never stayed for long, you know.
Right.
It
Right.
was a little bit, it was a kind of slow reggae, you know. And then from the late 60 to 70s, that's when reggae started really, you know. And the first guy who really sang, who called reggae is the late he just passed on the other day.
Oh,
Toots
Roy.
and the Maytals.
Oh, Toots and the Maytals.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
He's the
then.
one who really used the wild reggae, one of his music. You know, like back then, those kind of music were kind of a mix with mento and some jazz, and and then all
And
together mix it up, and it became reggae.
right.
You know,
Right. I had
reggae
no
was like
idea.
that's from the 60, like I
Yeah.
mean late 60 until 70s, going up to 80s, and then in the 80s, then you have dancehall. Because reggae is like you have reggae, and then roots reggae, cultural reggae, and then dancehall. You know, and the still Bob Marley started from ska era up to reggae. You know, yeah.
So
So
so the 60s is when you shared with us a little about how reggae, how Toots was the first person to actually call reggae. But I would love for you to just share with us how you think reggae got to Africa.
Oh yeah, yeah. The way reggae went to Africa is through, as I said, Bob Marley was one of the really artists, the reggae artists who went to Africa. You know, and you see his music was international, was being listened to like all over the world. So he was the first person really, I would say, that brought reggae to Africa, because before Bob Marley there was nobody, no reggae artist who went to um who went
Africa.
to Africa. You know.
I
So
think.
Bob Marley, even though he never performed in Kenya, he went to Zimbabwe and performed during the independence, you know, which was very good. And then that is how, I don't know if there was any other part of Africa that had reggae music, but I know Kenya, we started like in the 80s, you know.
So
That's what
Kenya.
really, you
So
know.
this is why reggae is very prominent in Kenya even right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you
Yeah.
see reggae, you have a lot of ghetto youths and people who suffer, and they can relate to reggae music, because reggae is kind of music that is a day-to-day life, when they sing about what is happening, or what was going to happen, or what has happened, you know. So that's how reggae went to Africa, really, through Bob Marley, because I don't think if there was any, even though there were artists like Lucky Dube, they came on later, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Alpha Blondy came on later, you know. Bob Marley is one of the Bob Marley and the Wailers. Those are the ones that really brought reggae music to Africa, you know.
Yeah, so it seems that you are really right there when reggae music was arriving in Africa and also Kenya. Like you're physically with Bob Marley's band and management, and that's really amazing. And I want you to help the people who are joining us now on YouTube. If you're watching this conversation on YouTube, please make sure you leave your comments so that Papa Bingi and myself can respond to some of your questions. But I want you to just paint for us a picture of the moment you are able to connect with, I think it was one of Bob Marley's team members,
Yes.
and they gave you, you started building your network,
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Yes. So when you met him, we told him what you wanted to do, and then when he went back to Jamaica, sent him a telegram, and then Rita Marley said they were gonna help us, so they sent us some music. In fact, we got like about 5 albums and some singles, and those 5 albums. We started. There's another Virgin, called Ali Magumbeni. He had a band, at a place called Starlight, you know. So
yeah.
Ali Magumbeni, when I met what is his name, Eugene and Bongo. So I spoke with Ali. I told him, you know what, we are looking for a place where we can play reggae music at least and educate the people about reggae and Rastafari, you know. And then Ali told me that, well, there's a guy named Armstrong. There was a guy from England who owned a club called Starlight, you know. So he told me that, well, you're going to talk to the guy and see what he can do for us. So we went and spoke with the Mr. Armstrong, and he told us that, well, he could give us only Sunday afternoon from 2 to 10 p.m., you know. That was the only, that was like the only reggae session in the whole country, you know, where people used to, and mind you, we were playing with only 5 LP
Right.
and some 45.
Right.
And we play that every Sunday and repeat the same music, and people will dance from 2 o'clock until 10, you know. And
Yeah.
then in 1980, it was 1982, Jashaka. Jashaka came from England, you know, and we met, we link up. In fact, when you were playing reggae, we were just playing music, but we didn't have a name, you know. It was me and Eugene. We were sitting together inside Shaka's hotel room, and then we asked him. We told him that we are playing music. We don't really have a name. So he told me like, since you guys, you are three Rasta brothers, you know, why don't you guys just call it Roots Ainity, you know? So that's when Roots Ainity was born, you know. We call it Roots Ainity Promotion, you know. And then during Bob Marley's birthday, we performed together with Jazz Shaka at French Cultural Center, which was one of the biggest, like the first biggest show that people saw in Kenya, you know. He had a show whereby Shaka was playing live band with Ali Magombeni, and we were just playing music, you know, and that was like one of the biggest. So we started playing. We were playing music from say 80 until 1984. It was like, I mean, sometime, when you start something, in every business, sometime, something go maybe start going wrong. You know what I mean? So like in '84, I realized like, okay, I need to do something apart from this. I need to start my own sound system. So I started uh, Dread Brothers promotion with Three White Brothers. You know. Then I was still playing with Root Sanity. I just registered the sound system, but I will make my brothers, Pupa Davis, let Pupa Davis and Reverend Dida, you know, play here and there. And then I remember 1985. That was one of the biggest. It was very really big for us because it was during the International Women Conference. You know, all women, all powerful women from all over the world came to Nairobi. You know, and they were staying not far from like Stanley. They're staying at the Pan Africa Hotel, you know. And then they asked like, where could they go at night? they were told that well, there's a place across the street called Starlight, you know. So we were at least fortunate to perform for dignitaries like Karate Scat King,
Oh,
Maya
wow.
Angelo,
Wow.
uh, Margaret Reagan, who was, her father, the daughter of Reagan, he came with them.
And
A
Coretta
lot of,
is the wife of the late Martin Luther King.
yes, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
All
Wow.
of them,
Yeah.
they came to the
Wow.
club and, we performed for them. In fact, we did not know about Margaret Reagan because the next day we saw him when we saw on a nation newspaper. I'm like, what? This is she was just yesterday dancing with us at the club. Yeah, yeah. So that was
Wow.
really good.
Yeah.
So reggae, started really back then. It was like people used to call it church because it was like a Sunday afternoon until from 2 to 10. So people would
Yeah.
say that, oh, we are going to church, you know.
Yeah. That
So
traditions.
even kids will try with cut school just to come in,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't let them in because they were too young, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you know.
That
So
tradition and that culture you created in the 80s stayed, and even now there is still jam session. Even myself, I used to attend some of the Shashamane jam sessions at Achievers, Achievers, which is a
yeah,
club your crew as used in the last 2 decades, I believe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, before Chivas, when you left now, when we left Starlight, when I finally like break away from Eugene and Bongoman,
Mm.
we started playing at Garden Square, Jerome Club, Alliance, and all this. And then we also went to Hollywood, Club Hollywood. You know,
With Jackie Male.
yes, yes. No, no, that before Jack Marley, we were playing
Before
at
Jackie Male.
it was us playing at Hollywood. Then we
Uh-huh.
left. The person who used to own Hollywood is the same person who owned Monte Carlo. So
Uh-huh.
we told him that we needed a bigger place. So he gave us Monte Carlo and then Jack Marley. Jack Marley moved into Hollywood. You know, and then King Lion. King Lion. They came about like 1989. You know.
So
Yeah.
you inspired King Lion, Jumbo
Yes, yes, yes.
Sounds, really all
Yes,
the sound
in
systems.
fact, when we used to play at Starlight, the late Lefty, it used to be like we used back then we used to call it a skipper, like somebody who at the gate who like make sure that everything is right, you know. Used to be Lefty, and then sometime his brother Charlie will come, and then we kind of we inspire a lot of them, and then Lefty started King Lion too after that, you know. Like about 1989, and then Jack started Jumbo Sound in early 90s. You know, those were really like the three big sounds that
Right.
say like three big sounds. When you say three big sound, you talk about King Lion, Dread Brothers, which is Shashamani, and then Jumbo Sound. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so you see, like since from 1984, my sound was called Dread Brothers Promotion because the way we are also brothers, two, three brothers, Davis,
Right.
Uncle
Dida.
Reverend Dida, and then we have Raskan, Kingman, Daddy Chosh, Woodman Terry,
I
King
know all
Monday.
of them. I know
We
all
had
of
a
them.
lot. We kind of built a lot of stars
Yeah,
from
you did.
eight.
Yeah. Dida. Well, Dida, but then there was Agostino.
Yeah,
Agostino,
like
yeah, I loved.
Agostino,
Yeah.
Frank.
Yeah.
They came early. Later
Yeah.
on, them became in the 90s.
Right.
In
Right.
the
Right.
80s were like the
Right.
Reverend Dida, Papa Davis, Woodman Terry, Raskin,
Right.
and Daddy Agostino.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, you really shaped what reggae music is, not just in Kenya but globally. And I want to thank you for that. And I want to let you know that Christopher Sakwa from Kenya Boys Choir is watching, and
Oh,
you
okay.
just
Nice.
answered his question about how King Lion sounds came to be. And he was just saying that he's commenting on YouTube and saying he remembers Achievers, Monte Carlo, and Hollywood, and Professor Nuts was one of his neighbors. And I think Professor Nuts are just some of the DJs that came very late in the late 90s,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, they came in the
Yeah,
90s. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, including Junior Dre and people like that.
Yeah, United was fine. Yeah, he was with Shashamani
Yeah,
in the 90s.
right,
Yeah,
right. I
like
actually
Kuta.
lived with Junior Dread while I was in college in Nairobi, and that's how I got into the reggae business. I was a reggae
Oh,
fan for a long time. Then when I came to Nairobi at Railway Training Institute, Junior Dread Fanya was living in South B,
hmm.
just outside the college where I was going to. So I was able to live with him for actually a while. So we became good friends, and um, when you brought Glenn Washington, I had my my veve.
Complimentary.
Yeah, I had complimentary, but I had my veve. I traveled all the way from Kisumu for an entire week just to be a part of all the experiences.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
you
Yeah, I
know
think those came later on because,
yeah.
in fact, the reason why I even started. I mean, so late '89,
Mm,
I moved to New York. You know,
mhm, mhm,
but before that, like going to Europe. I mean, my story is like I would say I went to Europe, by foot, by road.
mhm.
I never took a
Really?
plane first time when I went to Europe.
How did you do that?
I went I went from Kenya, Uganda, Sudan, Egypt, and then from Egypt is when I took a plane from Egypt now to Istanbul.
Mm,
Then from Istanbul, um, I was just going by road because I had a friend. I had a friend in Germany when I met in Kenya in 1984, and
mm,
when they were visiting, and they came
mm,
to the club, and then I met them, and they stay at my place for some time. So they told me, yeah, whenever you go to Europe, just
mm,
come and see us. So
mm.
they decided, you know what, because I really wanted, in order for me to make some noise, I had to have my own sound system.
Right.
So that's why I had to. It took me. You wouldn't believe, but it took me 6 months to get to Europe. From Kenya.
Wow.
You
Wow.
know, I go through from country to country. I spend
Mm,
maybe a month or two, and then
mm, mm,
uh, I go, and then when I reach when I was in Port Sudan, I
mm.
kind of like wow. I was like I
Y-
ran
y-
out of money.
You
You know,
almost gave up.
yes, I always gave up, but I ran out of money. Then one day I was just walking. Then I went to a place. I think it was a UN. It was like I met like two ladies working with the United Nations. So
Mm,
I'm like, I told them, you know what? Um, I was going to Egypt, and I ran out of money.
mm,
So if anybody can borrow me something, I will give you back. You
mm,
know.
mm,
And luckily, God was with me because one of the
mm.
lady gave me £1,000.
Wow.
She never even knew me. You know what I
Mm,
mean? She
mm.
didn't know me. I didn't know her. Nothing.
You
You
have
know.
to trust yourself sometime and just start the
Yes.
journey.
And she had trust in me.
Mm,
And when I made it, I went because she had given me her address and phone number in the UK. You know.
mm,
When
mm.
I made it to Europe and I started making money, I went to England, and I gave her back her money. She was
Wow.
surprised too. Yes, she was
Wow.
surprised. She said, "Wow!" I
Wow.
say, "Well, I couldn't have forgotten what you did to me because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am now." You know?
Right. Right.
Yes. So that's
So,
how that's how I got to Europe. And then I'm like I wanted to buy my own sound system first
right.
because
Right.
being being in Kenya, we didn't really have any. We were using a club system before.
Mm, mm, mm.
So in order for you to make money really, like you can go to a mobile show, you need to have your own equipment, and that's why it took me that long to get to Europe. And I work for a year, and I was able to save money for
Right.
1 year in Germany, and I went to Denmark, bought my
Mm,
equipment, and
mm.
went back to Kenya. You
Wow.
know, went back
Wow.
to Kenya, and then every after that, every whatever came after that was history. You know,
Right. Right. But I want you
because
to just for a moment, listen to this incident with when culture came to Kenya. It was so powerful. My this I didn't come to the show, but the people who came to the show from Kisumu told me
Hmm.
that the crowd that was outside Ngong Racecourse was bigger
Yes.
than the crowd that was inside.
No, that was huge. That was like
Yeah,
I remember it was I had 75,000 people. That was like the biggest show like we ever had in Kenya.
ever, yeah.
But a year before that, I brought Gregory Isaacs, you know,
Right, right.
Gregory Isaacs and Chronic, who is Chronic's father,
Mm-hmm.
the son from Jamaica called Kilimanjaro, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Ford and another artist called Flasher, you know.
Yeah.
They came. We perform at um, what do you call it? Wow.
I think it was on Mombasa Road,
No,
right?
no, yeah, Mombasa Road. What is the name? Come on, man.
Yeah,
The biggest.
I know exactly. Yeah, it was on
Oh,
Mombasa Road,
can I forget this?
City Cabanas. No,
No, it
no, no.
wasn't City
City
Cabana.
Cabanas was
No,
Glen Washington.
no, yeah, it wasn't City Cabana. That
Yeah,
was
City Cabanas was Glen Washington.
God,
Was it Nyayo Stadium?
no,
Nyayo Stadium was Glen Washington too. You did two shows with Glen Washington.
no, Carnival, yes.
Carnival, yeah,
Oh, how
Carnival.
could I forget this? Yeah, it was at the
Yeah,
Carnival. That was
yeah,
like around 35. We had about 25,000 people in that show.
yeah. Wow.
And the next day we went to Mombasa. Mombasa show was full too. And then
Yeah,
a year after that is when I brought culture, you know.
yeah.
And the reason why I started doing this African Bound Reggae Summer Fest was like, you know, to unite like the Jamaican artists with
Mm-hmm.
our people, so at least they can see,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they love reggae so much. I was like, you know what, the only way I can give back to my people is
Mm-hmm.
by through bringing this artist,
You
you
did
know.
it. You did it. You inspired, including myself. I started doing what you are doing. I, I,
Yes,
I,
yes, yes.
I took
That was
Clinton
big.
Farrow.
Culture was big. That's one of the biggest show because there's
Yeah,
75,000 people in
yeah,
Nairobi. Then we went to Kisumu. Remember, we went to Kisumu too.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. But now I
yeah, and
want you
then
to
Glenn
paint a
came next.
picture for us about the sound clash culture. A lot of people n- know about reggae music, but they don't know enough about sound
What
clash
sound
and
clash? Yes, yes, yes.
sound clash
Yeah,
and dub plates. I just wanted you to describe what a dub plate is, and also sound clash, but also your accomplishments. I feel that there's no reggae artist that you don't have their dub plates, and you've also won a lot of clashes in the past.
clashes.
So
Yes,
share
yes,
with
yes,
us
yes.
some of these stories.
Yes, yes, yeah. So when I came to New York in 89, late 89, you know,
Mm-hmm.
settled in a place called Harlem, in New York. And me, I'm always a business minded person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like to uh, uh, like take care of myself, and my family, everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started when I came to Harlem, I was like, wow, I'm home because
Mm-hmm.
all I could see is a lot of black people around. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started when I left Kenya, I came with some of the African attires, the kiondos,
Mm-hmm.
the women necklace and handbands, things like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's how I started like making my I started selling them, to make a living. You know,
Mm-hmm.
where I was, it was we were selling like stuff on the street. Before I had a store selling stuff on the street. And then I made when I made enough money. Then there was a guy just across to me who had a store and he was leaving. So I told him, okay, can I rent your store? And he said yes. So I rent that store on 125th Street in St. Nicholas. You know, and then normally when I was every time I used to put a loudspeaker outside and just play reggae music loud. You know, so when people passed, and then
That's so
some guy
much
drove
like
over.
Nairobi and Kenya in general. That's why I'm laughing.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So we were just playing loud music, and then some of my friends. I mean, they're not really my friend back then. They're just like people who come to buy, buying stuff for me, merchandise and everything, you know.
Mm,
And
mm,
then one time I came to find out that they they were DJs, you know.
mm,
There's the man called Six Killer, another one called James Bond, and Lico
mm,
Fox, you know.
mm,
So I
mm,
decided, like, you know what? Since I have a sound system back in Kenya, I can start a branch right here, you know.
mm,
That was like about 91, 92. So I say, okay, I started one. I started another branch in New York, you know,
mm,
with those guys,
mm,
and we're just going. Then as time go by, I started like knowing a lot of people, you know,
mm.
because my story was very famous. Because you know, that's a lot of people used to
I
come to
have to
my
tell
store.
you that we used to listen to your tapes, like your
Mhm.
clashes
Yeah,
of around this era that you're speaking about on tapes. The cassette
the cassette,
tapes.
yeah, the cassette, yeah,
We
yeah,
used to listen to them at barber shops in Kenya, and we
yes,
used
yes.
to rewind it and listen, and we crammed the names of all these DJs you're talking about. But keep going.
Yes, yes, yes. There and then I started like doing like because I'm always into music, so I started doing promoting music in Harlem. You know,
Mm,
I would rent a place and then bring my own sound system and then with my DJs and people
mm,
come, buy and everything and enjoy themselves. You know,
mm,
so with Sound Clash, I would say that the first really Sound Clash that I went to in Kenya, I did one. The first time when I went back to Kenya in 1987, I did one. That was like the
mm,
first sound clash in Kenya, but it was
mm,
just me, you playing music, and then part, yeah, the side two, like this is, second verse was rhythm, then the
mm,
DJ just chant. You know what I mean?
mm,
Just
mm,
chant on it. And
mm.
I know you've heard of Papa Nasty. Papa Nasty won
Yes.
that clash. You know.
Ah, Papa Nasty, and he's even still around right now. He's
Yes,
still
Papa is still
doing,
around. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
He won that clash. That in fact
Mm-hmm.
that's the first time I even introduced Kenyan into dancehall. 'Cause they didn't know anything about dancehall. You know,
Mm, mm,
it was about roots. Then I brought some dancehall music when I came back from the UK.
mm,
I moved back to Hockey Harlem. So I started doing those dances. And then my first sound clash really was 1994. You
mm,
know,
mm,
a place called Harlem Karate Club.
mm,
It was with the sound, one of the biggest sound right now called Stereo 5
mm,
and Black Magic, you know.
mm, mm,
Back then everybody have to bring their own, you have to bring your own set, bring your
mm,
own sound system,
mm,
And we are playing, clashing, then all of a sudden my sound system just went mute,
mm,
you know, because
mm,
my sound was heavy, very
mm,
heavy. All of a
mm,
sudden it just went mute.
mm,
And back then when a sound go when you sound like when your sound messed up, then you
mm,
have to lock off. You cannot play on it, nobody's any other sound equipment. So I
mm,
just had to lock off, lock off my sound, and then and it went by in a clash, and then 95 we had a clash too. 2000, I mean 96 we had another clash in
mm,
Harlem with a sound called King Baka. It wasn't built as a clash, but it was just like a regular dance. But then back then regular dance used to turn into a clash.
mm,
It
mm,
was their own turf. But you
mm,
see, King Baka, we kind of had a problem because I had a big sound system in Harlem, whereby when I put my sound system outside, it's like
mm.
it goes on top of the tree, you know.
Wow.
So when they put their set, then they hear my sound the way. So that's how kind of rivalry started between me and them.
Mm,
Then one time we met, and then I just killed them. You know,
mm, mm,
yeah. So clash, sound clash is like this. Sound clash and dubplate
mm,
is when an artist, you pay an artist, and
mm,
then let's say like Luciano singing a
mm,
song,
mm,
and instead of saying whatever he was singing, you rewrite the lyrics now,
mm,
whereby you will be talking about Shashamane,
mm,
beating this sound or killing that sound.
mm.
That is a dubplate,
Now,
Then when an
now,
artist sing about your sound.
Papa Bingi, I want to take you back a little. DJ Ranks is also joining us on YouTube, and he wants you to just speak a little bit about how you founded Shashamani and Dread Brothers Promotion, and then
Mm-hmm.
After you share with us that, we'll come back to Clash.
All right. Yeah, Shashamane, as I said, I formed Shashamane in 1984. But when I formed the sound, it wasn't called Shashamane. It was called Dread Brothers Promotion. You know. So
Uh,
I was in Ethiopia.
I
I was in
actually have a
Ethiopia.
question right there for you. Do you remember Sam Omoga?
Who?
Sam Omoga. He was based in the UK.
Sam Omoga.
Yeah, he used to come. He used to come like you had a lot of fans that probably pretended that they were part of Red Brothers promotion.
Yes, yes, yes. Well,
So
maybe me. I knew a lot of people, but I wouldn't know them by
right,
by
right,
their
right.
names.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
we
was
had a lot of fans. You
yeah
know.
there were two DJs. There was Sam Omoga from Kisumu. There was Mosese from Kisumu. There was also um, there were so many DJs in Kisumu, like Ninja Man. I worked closely with Ninja Man. I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you remember
I
him.
remember German. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Obuanda. He used to be with Omega for a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyhow, continue sharing with us the story of Shashamani. Thank you.
yeah. So Shashamane was that was like in 1984 when I
84.
really built the sound.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but we did not. They were just playing here and there. So when I went to Europe, the Davis and Josh and Ken, they were just playing here and there. When I came back in '86, when I came with the sound system, so we started like doing mobile now. You know, doing mobile. Um, and as I said, um, it was my aim was to like teach people, because you see about music, because you see me growing up in the 80s as a Rasta man, it was really tough on us. You know what I mean?
Right,
You know,
right.
police brutality and all these things. So when they see you on the street as a Rasta man, all they think is about Mao Mao. So
Mau
they were like, oh,
Mau.
these guys are they gonna take over again? And you know,
Mm, mm.
so it was kind of tough,
It was
but
tough.
it kind of paid off. It paid off on us, because when they were doing um um back is it what's the name of the movie called again? Back to Africa, something like, with
Oh,
Meryl Streep and back what's it called? Out of Africa.
out of Africa.
Yes, we were in that movie, because
Oh
we were in the
no.
movie.
Oh really?
Yes,
Tell me more
because
about that.
they came when they came. They wanted to use the Masai, you
Mm,
know,
mm,
Masai warriors in the movie, but
mm,
then they found out, like, Masai, they want people with dread, So
mm-hmm,
Masai, their locks or something, like, like the fake one. So they came to Starlight,
mm,
and then met a lot of us. It took a lot of rasters, and
mm.
you know we were there. At least it was a good payday for us, you know.
Right, right,
But then go back to the shamani. So when I built the shamani, okay, 84, and we started just playing like that. First was uh, Garden Square, as I said before, Garden
right,
Square. Then we went to Chiromo,
right.
went to Hollywood.
Mm-hmm,
From Hollywood to Monte Carlo.
mm-hmm,
Then Monte Carlo, we moved to Achievers. You
mm-hmm,
know,
mm-hmm.
we were there for so many years. We
Yeah,
are
yeah.
Monte Carlo for so many years, and then I think we stayed at Achievers also like about 10 years.
Right,
You know,
right. And I
yeah,
did go to Achievers many, many times, even during the time that you brought artists like Glenn Washington. It was around when Shashamane was still at Achievers. But I want
yeah,
to
yeah.
bring us back to Clash. What was your favorite dubplate to, like, what dubplate are you most proud of? I've listened to some of your clashes before, and I've had dubplates of Bob Marley, Bunny Wailer. I've just always been surprised by your library of music. Recently I think you are having a Facebook Live, and I overheard you saying that you have like 15 those road ready cases.
End
Yeah,
up here,
yeah.
yeah,
Share with us your library, but also your favorite. Currently, I want to learn about your favorite reggae artist, but also
yeah.
like your favorite dubplate to work on.
All right. With Dopplet, as I said there on the live, by 2006, I had 15, but then 15 boxes of Dopplet. But then each box is 100. And then one, one Dopplet is 4 songs. So that's like, excuse me, excuse me, that's like 6,000 Dopplet.
Wow.
That was in what? 2000
2006.
and seven. But then from there up till now, man, it's too many, too many Doppler that I
Yeah.
cannot even count.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my favorite Doppler, I would say, I have a Luciano because when
Mm,
Luciano was coming up in
mm,
the early 90s,
mm,
1994, I remember,
mm,
I was I was spending crazy money in Jamaica.
mm,
It was like every every studio you go to,
mm,
all you hear is my name call in every studio.
mm,
You know,
mm.
so
Did you
Luciano
go,
did a
did,
doublet for me.
mm,
Uh, it's called Sasha Mane. You big, you make money in the in the youth them pocket. Like Sasha Mane, you big. You taking care of the youths in Jamaica. You know,
mm,
that
mm,
was one of my favorite. Then the other one is also Anthony B. I have two of them. The same time. Where he
mm,
gave me adopted also, and he said that in the next 25 years, no sound will ever play that. And up till now, I never had any sound play that dub plate. You know,
mm,
I got a lot of them, but I would say Luciano is one of my favorite too, at least even up till now.
wow, wow. And I feel that Luciano is one of the artists that will last for a long time. He's so grounded in his talent and his vocals, his voice, and his performance. I've seen some of his shows where he's doing backflips on stage. He's just very, very versatile.
Yeah, he's a serious reggae artist and a Rasta man. Very very
Right,
serious. You
right,
know, very humble. You know,
right, right.
Luciano is very very humble. You
Do
know.
you did you go to Jamaica a lot in the course of building, your body of work until now?
Yeah, I used to go a lot back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Used to go a lot. But then after, um, I met a lot of these artists. So anytime I want dubplate, I just call them. So at least
Right,
I have their direct link. So they
right,
kind of make me save that money of going to Jamaica and
right,
staying and all this time. So
right.
just have a link with them. You know.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
with the African Father in America podcast, I also love to discuss fatherhood. Both of us are fathers, but also both of us are fathers for many people, even those people that we don't know. For example, growing up, I looked up to you, and the
Hmm.
people that were also, part of your team, there are people that I looked up to. But now
Hmm.
there are people that literally look up to us, especially
Yes.
youths in Kenya. When you think about reggae music, it's a revolutionary kind of music. So many, many people are listening to what Papa Bingi has to say even until now. But you find that in the African community, back in Africa, or also here in America, in the African American community, and even our own community, you find that our communities are fragile because fathers are not 100% there. So I wanted you to speak to the youths, look at their eyes and tell them something about fatherhood and why it's important.
Well, father figure is very important because growing up, I grew up with my mother and my father, so at least I knew that you know, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. And okay, being a father figure is something whereby the youth, because you have a lot of youths out there that maybe sometimes they get lost, you know, because they don't have any father figure in their life,
Right,
to
right,
guide them,
right,
to let
right,
them know that this is good, what is good from bad, you know. It's very,
right.
very important. Like even if you don't have okay, you have some youths out there that they don't have if you ask them who is your role model, they'll tell you their mother. You know,
mm,
because
mm,
our mothers always, it doesn't matter what happened,
mm,
what your father is doing, whatever. The
mm.
mothers are always with us.
Right,
You know, the mothers are always with us. You know,
right,
but for those youth that don't have a father figure in their life, it's very important sometimes, because they may think like, oh, since I don't have anybody to guide me or tell me what to do, the only good thing I can do is maybe commit crime. You know,
right, right,
crime doesn't pay. You know,
right,
if you don't have a father figure in your life, the best thing is try to go to school. You know, go to school, study, you know, go to university and become somebody, you know. So at least you can even have your own family and then be a father figure to that for your family if you never
right,
had one in your life,
right,
you know. So this thing of well, it's really different because in Africa and abroad, it's two different things. Because
right,
in Africa we have a saying that says it takes a village to raise a child.
right,
You know, so anybody, I cannot see your child going astray, and I'm just looking at him or her. You
right,
know, I have
right,
to step in and try to help that kid. You see,
right,
over here is different. You live here. You know how it is. You cannot even touch your own child.
right,
You know,
right,
telling you, oh, you're gonna go to jail. That is abuse, and I think they should kind of relax that kind of law, because if you don't discipline your own child, and then maybe they go out there and become gangster or do whatever they do,
right.
who are you gonna blame? They're gonna blame the parents, right? But they never teach them right, you know.
Yeah, you
So
cannot
to
blame
me,
them.
I would just advise youths out there,
Mm,
you know, don't indulge yourself into drugs or or, or, or do bad things that can make you end up in jail. You know,
right, right.
if you
Thank
don't have
you.
anybody in your life, just study, because you can read books or watch movies, whatever, but read books and try to be somebody.
Right. Try to
You
be
know,
somebody.
that's all I
Yeah.
can give advice I can give to the youths out there.
Thank you very much. Now, there's one last question coming from DJ Ranks, who is also joining us on YouTube, and he's saying, "Can you share with us how Dynamic was introduced to Shashamane?
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Dynamic,
dynamic. All
the
right,
Sudanese child, yeah."
children's child, yes, yes, yeah. Okay, dynamic. In fact, dynamic. I was introduced to dynamic by Mau Mau Sound, because those are some of my friends.
Oh,
They used to
yeah.
be.
I actually worked with Mau Mau Sounds for a while too. I
Okay,
brought
okay,
Mau Mau
okay.
Sounds to Kisumu, yeah.
Yes, yes. So Castro, Father Castro, used to
Uh-huh.
live in Texas. Used to live in Dallas. So he's the
Uh-huh.
one who told me like, oh, there's this African kid, used to live in Kenya,
Uh-huh.
and he's good. His name is Dynamic. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he gave me his number and we started talking. So I
Mm-hmm.
told him, you know about Shashamane anyway, from when he used to live in Kenya. You knew
Mm-hmm.
about Shashamane in King Lion in Jumbo Sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I said we started talking, and he said, yeah, he would like to join Shashamane, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I have a sound here, and I would like to have some of my African brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember 1994, we had a clash in Canada. That was like the first. It was called African Cup Clash. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Dynamic used to live somewhere in Pennsylvania, Erie, I think, Erie. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I'd gone home to bury my mother because my mother had passed away. So I came from Kenya direct to Canada. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and Dynamic said that okay, you'll join me. So he joined me in Toronto. You know, and then my selectors are James Bond and Danger One. They were they kind of came late from the hotel. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then I started playing. I started playing early out. Me and Dynamic I was playing, and Dynamic was talking on the mic. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and people like him. People like him the way he was running around and talking here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So he joined the sound from 1994. You know, so It's been with in fact, Sashamani is a sound that really gave him a chance the first time, before anybody knew who he was,
Right. I
Sashamani
remember.
playing with, and
Mm-hmm.
then in the early after we won some clashes, we won a clash in Texas, and then we won the world clash in London in 2004. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then in the early 2000 when he's headed to, go and start his own sound system.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same dynamic that you hear all over. All the same.
Right, right. I've
Yeah.
actually worked with him here in Seattle for Madaraka Festival that I've been producing for a while too. So
Hmm.
he's a great brother, and it shows how you've actually brought people up, the entire Kenyan industry, Kenyan reggae industry, and also music industry, and radio industry could have really not been what it is without people like you doing what you did from the very beginning. So, as we are coming towards the end of our conversation, I just want to thank you, from my heart. And I want you
Yes,
to
yes.
share with our audience members how they can connect with you.
Well, they can get Zashamani on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. YouTube is Zashamani International Official.
Mm-hmm.
And then Facebook, Zashamani International. IG is Zashamani underscore international.
Mm-hmm.
And then Twitter is Zashamani International. So all the handles can get us. Just type in Sashamani and it will come up. You know.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, ask me one question before we end our conversation today.
Um, like what you're doing. I mean, who inspire you to be who you are now? What you're doing now?
My mother, just like you're saying earlier, I was smiling while you're saying that. My
Yeah.
mother was a second wife in a polygamist marriage in Kenya. I'm a Luo from Darajambili, just before Maseno.
Okay.
So yeah, she struggled very hard with us. We lived in Manyata in the ghetto, and my
Hmm.
father was not there most of the time. He was mostly with the first wife. So my mother he is really my inspiration. She's really my inspiration. Without her, I could have not been here. I would be probably in jail, dead, or maybe an addict somewhere. But she did everything she could to shape me to who I am today, and I'll
Yes.
be forever grateful.
Yes, man. Big up to you, to my Mama Okelo, if that's the name. Big up to your
Yeah.
mother, man, because um, our mothers and women are very important in our life. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
without our mothers and sisters, and we wouldn't be well who we are. You know,
Right, right,
'Cause I've seen a lot of things, and um, as in America, they say they'd be dirty or something like that. But the
right,
mothers are always there for their kids.
right.
So respect to all our mothers and all the mothers in the world.
Thank
You
you,
know.
thank you. So, to all who are joining us on YouTube, thank you for being with us for the last 1 hour. This is the first 1 hour interview I've had, and I can't do such a thing if it's not for someone like Papa Bingi, who is really a true brother and someone I look up to. We first started by talking about Papa Bingi's story and his childhood. We talked about how reggae music came to Africa, and really the story of reggae music globally. We talked about that. Then we talked about how reggae music came to Kenya. I was really amazed that Papa Bingi actually met Bob Marley and his band when Bob Marley was on his way to Zimbabwe's independence celebration this was late
In the
70s.
1880. Mhm.
Yeah. And I was also very, very impacted by Papa Bingi's story of traveling from Kenya to Europe and taking 6 months traveling from Kenya, Uganda, Sudan, Egypt, then Turkey, and then
And by road all the way to Yugoslavia, Greece,
Wow, wow.
all the way to Germany.
We have to do part 2 of this conversation, Papa Bingi, because there's just so much that we could not pack within 1 hour. But I want to thank you so much for really taking your time to be here with me today. I'm just grateful, and the questions continue coming. But I want you all to join us again soon. We will announce when we will do part 2, where we can really talk about the future of reggae. We didn't touch much on the future of reggae today, but we are coming to the end of our live stream. This episode is also going to be available on all podcasting platforms within the next 1 week. So my name is Simon Javan Okelo, and it was a pleasure to be here with all of you. Papa
Yes,
Bingi.
Simon, was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course,
Thank you for
my
everybody
brother.
who tune in. And if you haven't, just go on to Facebook, YouTube, and watch it back.
Thank you very much. Peace and love.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Father in America. Tujikaze, jikaze.